Hello everybody and welcome to today's extremely exciting episode of Banter Blitz. It's gonna be exciting because... I got nothing. Warning, there might be spoilers in today's show. What could I spoil? Game of Thrones I might spoil. I've also been watching Season 4 of Orange is the New Black. So, if you don't want to know what happens, I'll try not to spoil it too much. But still, watch it at your own risk. Regarding the format, nothing has changed. Challenge me to a game of 3-minute blitz or 5-minute blitz if you happen to be a Chess24 premium member. And then I shall do my very best to crush you. I've done my very best to put on my insurance salesman outfit so that I look trustworthy, but I am planning to crush all of you. Let's see if we do have any challenges. As usual, I don't have a system, so I'll just click on names, slightly preferring the guys I've never played before, but that's about it. And here we go. Let's see if this works. Yeah, it seems to kind of work. Hin Minton. Where's he from? From Myanmar. Wow. Hin Minton. Knight of 3, d5, 1699. Should make me a favorite, but he might just have started. So I'm always careful. I'm keeping, as usual, half an eye on the chat, so I might, sometimes be able to get back to you guys, but the number one priority, as usual, is crushing. And to crush Hin Minton, I've played the stuff I normally do. We are now reaching a Queen's Gambit accepted after d takes c4. This move is not around that much these days, but there's nothing particularly wrong with it. b5 is optimistic. Not a bad move per se, but black cannot keep this extra pawn. So normally people go e6 or bishop g4. b5 is playable though. After a4, the best move is supposed to be b4. Looks strange, but black grabs some space on the queen side. And after bishop takes c4, this pawn can be a bit of a nuisance in some nights. c6 is also possible. I believe this is a theoretical line. Now after b3 I'm going to get my pawn back. Black cannot keep this pawn formation intact, but he can go something like a5, b takes c, b4, which I don't think is particularly healthy in this version, but it is a line that people play. Bishop e6, now bc4 does win the pawn back directly, but I might want to do something a little more ambitious. Then again, that would lead to me having to think, and you all know how I feel about thinking. So I'll go for bc4. I briefly thought about knight a3, stuff like that, but it didn't look that clear cut. So what we're gonna get now is a position where I have a slightly better structure, but black has a passed a pawn. Should be a tad better for white, but far from decided yet. Queen a4, knight bd7. I should not go queen takes c4, because then rook c8 might pick up this bishop, which is not ideal, so I'll just castle. I'm not particularly worried about getting this pawn back. He's kind of home alone in my camp, and black would have to go to excessive risks in order to try to keep that pawn. After knight c6, it feels like it's a good time for queen a4, targeting those two pieces. I'm not sure if knights are technically people, probably not. So queen a4 should win the pawn back. Queen d5 would not help the black cause, because after knight c3 the queen has to go to an undesirable square. He does it anyway. You can't play like that, Hin Minton. That's too greedy. Should have played queen d7, I believe, to break the pin. He does it now, but knight c3 is just a free tempo for me. So that's good news. I have a feeling I still have time before I should recapture this pawn, so I'll use it to play bishop a3, just trying to make it a little more awkward for him to go e6, because now after bishop takes f8, he would lose the right to castle. He does it anyway, and also didn't see anything better. But now either king takes or rook takes. Then I'll probably go queen c4, and black is going to lose some time on his uncastled king's position. Rook takes, I don't like that move as much, because now it's going to be really tough to get the king out of the danger zone. Well, after king f8 at least, you could go g6, king g7, and, well, provide a temporary home, at least, for Her Majesty on g7. Let's check the chat. Lingua franca. complicated words. I only know Game of Thrones lingo, so I call English the common tongue. What else is going on? Do I read the New and Chess yearbook? No, like I used to in the old days, but nowadays, yeah, I'm so database heavy that I don't really read any chess theory publications. Praise for the outfit, always very welcome. Some Brexit jokes. Yeah, I'm not educated enough on the topic to really give any smart comments. I was tempted to do some of my own Brexit jokes after England lost to Iceland, but I thought there's probably already 18,000 people tweeting those. From what I hear, it's not a good thing, but I'm really not very informed. As for the position, I'm also not very informed, but I do know that the king on e8 is, yeah, it would much rather be on g8. It's not well placed there, and that's gonna be a problem. The a-pass pawn could be nice in an endgame if we exchange like all rooks and queens, but I'm not intending to do that. Therefore, I believe it's tough times ahead for Hin Minton, since, yeah, his king is not overly comfortable. King e7 tries to rectify that situation. What can I do? Queen a3 check, queen d6 doesn't seem to accomplish very much. Knight b5 looks a bit tempting to give that check then, but then he could go knight d5. Not sure how much I like that. If in doubt, do nothing. I'll go h3, which could be useful later on, providing a luft for the king, controlling the g4 square for whatever it's worth, probably not much. And I couldn't really see a very useful move for my opponent, so I thought, why not go h3? Rook a8, there you go. That's half useful maybe. He's preparing knight to b4. And I still need to deliver some kind of blow. I have a feeling now it's time for knight b5, stops knight b4 because of rook c7. And after knight d5, which I would expect him to play, I can maybe start thinking about opening the position a bit with e4, knight b4, whatever. Maybe there's some knight e5 tricks. Something could be there. Rook c8, rook hc8. He doesn't seem to intend to collapse easily, which, yeah, it's not very friendly. I'd much rather have him collapse easily. But we're gonna have to do this the hard way. I'll give this check. I'm on a pawn hunting mission, as usual. King e8 makes things easier because he's missing knight d6. I thought knight b4 was the way to go, and then I wanted to take on c8. Now knight d6 check just wins. What are you gonna do? Give me that. There's also a little check on f8 that could come in very handy. The right moment for now. Maybe I shouldn't pre-move this because queen takes a5 is also tempting. I'll just exchange the strongest black defender with knight e5. Yeah, now either de or queen a5 is winning. De looks a bit more vicious because it also keeps the option of queen f8 check, while the a5 pawn is a goner either way. What else is going on? Tom Colin is gonna visit Hamburg soon. It's a lovely city. It started raining this morning, but then the weather turned around, so yeah. Hamburg weather is like a box of chocolate. And yeah, stop by the office. I can only read half the chat, mainly because I'm an idiot. But yeah. About Chess24's great growth. Yeah, I'm wearing ties again. If that's not a sign for prosperity, I don't know what is. And Hin Minton resigns, says happy birthday. Thank you so much. That's a while ago, so let's not talk about my age, because I'm really, really old. But yeah, good game, Hin Minton. I believe it went downhill kind of early when he... now let's look at it. When he wasted a tempo on queen d5. I think this position should be better for me, but queen d7 seems to be a much more natural move. All right, so that was that. I'll play Electric Jellyfish, just because I like the name. From Japan. Wow. Myanmar and now Japan. Talk about chess24 growth. Premium users all over the place. Exciting to see that. And I went for this crazy move 1e4, putting the pawn on an unprotected square, also allowing black to play asymmetrical lines like c5 followed by e6. He might be a student of Robin van Kampen who wants to go for the Taimanov. And there we go, knight c6. What do I do? My style would be to play this stuff. I believe knight c3 is more critical. But knight b5 followed by c4 is opting for, what do we call this? Some sort of Maroczy bind structure. I don't believe that it's overly critical, because here after a6, as he blitzes out, this knight has to go to this slightly awkward. I'm overusing awkward already. Not sure why. Why would I keep thinking of the word awkward? I'm such a people person. Anyway, he's blitzing out all this stuff, bishop b7. I believe Robin in his video series had some clever novelty after queen b3 here, which is supposed to be the main move. So I'll do something else just to throw Electric Jellyfish out of book. Because you don't want a blitzing opponent that follows the very wise Mr. Robin van Kampen. He goes knight e5, which is also very typical. You want to regroup that knight to d7 in these structures, and then reach sort of the perfect headshot formation, where the knight on c6 was a little misplaced. That's one reason why this line is playable at all for white, because his knight on a3 really looks a bit stupid, but black normally also has to spend some time on knight e5 followed by knight ed7. Rook d8 blitzed out. You can always argue if this rook belongs on d8 or e8 in these structures. I don't have a strong opinion. My personal experience has been that more often than not it's more useful on e8 than on d8, even for supporting this d5 break, which is going to be hard to get in anyway, because my rook on c1 will be quite well placed to meet that. Bishop c6. Can I go knight c2, or is d5 an issue then? I want to go knight c2 and put this knight back into action on d4. I'm not 100% sure if d5 should bother me or not. It does bother me a little. So, if in doubt, play random half-useful moves like king h1. Other random half-useful moves would be bishop f1 followed by bishop g1. Queen b7, it does seem like there's more and more indicators that Electric Jellyfish is preparing for the d5 break. I don't want that to happen, so I'll stop it by going bishop d4. Prophylactic thinking, ladies and gentlemen. Nah, not really, just making moves. But if you're interested in prophylactic thinking, check out the video series that the great Artur Yusupov did with me. People seem to like it, and I learned a lot from it, and it is a fascinating concept. Now he goes knight g6, now d5 doesn't seem to be a threat anymore, because after cd ed I can just go e5 with hopefully a positional advantage. Therefore I can finally regroup this knight to somewhere else. Knight g6 I'm not sure about. I'd much rather have this knight on d7. But of course it's going to take me quite some time to do anything useful. For now I'll just make half useful strengthening moves. b3, b4 is more aggressive, and one day, maybe I should have done it immediately, one day you want to try to grab some space on the queen side here with b4, maybe a4. And he goes b5, throwing the gauntlet. Is that an expression? No idea. Interesting, and I'm not quite sure why I ignored it. Like b5, sometimes it's less devastating than it looks, because this pawn can also be a weakness, but it's of course a very typical idea, and I might have, maybe I should have considered impeding it a bit more than I did. I've also been very slow while expertly drifting into a slightly worse position here, so it's gonna be speed up time very, very soon. No, I'm not sure if I'm slightly worse. I believe I'm still okay. And yeah, now he goes for d5, but I'm still ready to meet it with e5, knight d7, f4, or knight d7 maybe I can take. And bishop takes b4 is a bit ugly positionally. The knight still doesn't have a great square, because this pawn might be hanging. And there is the added problem that I now have pretty much full control over the dark squares, so this is a lovely positional situation for me. The bishop on e8 is not doing as much as you would like your bishop to contribute. And the knight on h5 also looks a little lonely, and I will emphasize that by targeting it. Knight e7, well played, keeping everything protected for now. But as I said, now I'm doing pretty well positionally, because these dudes aren't really that well placed. And plan B is the tempting option that it tends to be. This is forcing the issue, probably not necessary. Rook e7 drops the rook, but he could have started with rook takes c1. And electric jellyfish, lose on time. Played well. The main thing I didn't like I'm not sure if d5 is a good idea, but mainly bishop takes b4, I believe, is positional suicide. After that, my position became really nice. All right. What's next? Whoa, 2900 rated Grandmaster? That's scary. Linkmos from Belgium. I don't know who that is, but I'm scared. And I have the black pieces. You see my anxiety creeping in here. I'm starting to shake a little bit. What's up in the chat? I haven't seen the new Star Trek. Not a big Star Trek guy. Oh, and there is Mr. Linkmos. It's a 3-minute game. These Grandmasters, they always challenge in 3-minute games because they think, stupid Jan, he's going to be distracted having to talk all that much, so that increases my chances to flag him. And I'll play my main repertoire as covered in the first part of my video series on how to meet 1d4. Good old solid Catalan main line. Queen c4, bishop c6, bishop g5 is the most critical move. Recently, Kramnik has been experimenting with knight bd7 instead of bishop d5, but I'll stick to my recommendation, and I hope that I can remember anything. Not a given. Knight c3, I believe, is what they do, and now I'm not sure anymore. I think bishop c6 was what I wanted, but I'm really struggling to recall the rest. Check out my video series. I'm sure I've explained how to equalize in excruciating detail, but don't expect me to remember any of my recommendations. Queen a5 was a key move in one of these lines. Maybe this is still all normal stuff. Queen c4. Can't remember a thing. Sad. What looks normal? CD, knight bd7. Knight bd7 looks kind of normal. Can't see an obvious refutation, so I'll go with it, even though I have a slightly uneasy feeling about knight bd7. Maybe knight e5 is annoying. But he does blitz it out. Dude knows stuff. Guess I should take here. This is all theory. Might all be in my series. Oh man. So what's going on? I'm a pawn up currently, but some things are under attack, which is not ideal. b8, he would go queen d4, e5 looks a little anti-positional. Now rook b8 looks normal. Don't have all the time in the world to think about stuff, so I'll go with this one. But yeah, goes to show you that it makes sense to be well prepared. And I'm a little embarrassed that I can never remember my own recommendations. But such is life. Hang on, I'm not sure I should pre-move that, because knight f6, bishop f6 is also a legal move. Bishop d2, come on. You can't expect me to see fancy moves like that coming. Yeah, looks unpleasant. Very clever, sir. Don't have time either, which is a pity. Rook e4 doesn't work because d7 is hanging. So I guess I have to live with being slightly worse, which is a pity. And I've also been slightly slow and slightly worse. Not a good starting point. So I guess I'm gonna have to speed up a little and limit the talking even further. So unfair, these grandmasters. Challenge me to a 5-minute game at least. Gives me some more nonsense talking time. But okay, we'll get to the excuses part later. For now I should try to stick around. Provoked e4 to block this bishop. Not sure how useful that is, but you never know. I need a Luft, also not sure if I should go h6 or h5 or whatever, many options. And I have a feeling I should get rid of this dude. g5 was probably just a blunder, but I'll still try to stick around. Now, magically, I'm okay. Not sure I can win though. Which I would like to do, but it doesn't look all that winning between you and me. However, one can always try. Did I blunder something? That'd be a pity. That would make winning much harder. Yeah, I missed bishop d3, which is sad. I guess the position is still a draw. But that was not my original intention. And I'm gonna have to speed up quite a bit too. If you want to draw, sir, I'm afraid I can't escape it. Yeah, good game, slightly marred by, first of all, my lack of recollection. I'm gonna have to rewatch my own series. What theory here? Maybe it was cd4, not knight bd7. I'm really not 100% sure. All of this still looks kind of vaguely familiar though, so maybe it was all alright. Then I had the feeling I was slightly worse. And around here I had the feeling I'd equalized. But maybe g5 was a little stupid. Maybe a5 or rook b3. Whatever. Complicated game. Thanks, Mr. Linkmos. Rating the chat. Internet problem. Hope it's not me. Blah, blah, bloop. What happened to my hair? It's another of these bad hair days. Keep having a lot of those. Maybe I should get a haircut again. Decisions. It's very hard going through life with hair and being so hair conscious, but my ears are too big for going bald. So I'm gonna have to live with it. And I'm gonna have to live with the next opponent. Who's it gonna be? Maybe Buster Top. What about Buster Top? GB keeps asking if I'm gonna give the Nimzo for part 3 of my video series. I wasn't intending to, but I've spoken about this at length, and unfortunately I still haven't really solved my problems. Because, yeah, I was intending to give 3d5, but I'm having big theoretical issue, and I'm not the only one, after the game Carlsen versus Kramnik, which refuted a line that at least I thought was pretty solid, but I haven't been able to fix it. So I still have to make up my mind if I'm going to go with the Semi-Tarash, if I'm going to give an alternative after 3d5, cd, ed5, or if I'm going to switch to the Nimzo. But I don't think I want to switch to the Nimzo. First of all, because I'm not a big expert, and secondly, because we already have 2, I believe, very good video series by Niklas Huschenbeet and Paco Vallejo about the Nimzo on this very site. And does one really need 3 Nimzo Black Repertoire series? And let's go to the game for a second here, because I played a move I don't normally play. Normally I go e5 here, but after d5, which I played, there is a forced line which I don't really know. In my childhood this was supposed to be roughly equal CD, bishop d2, bishop g7. But I do recall that somebody, maybe Paco Boy, that Mr. Vallejo that is, told me that this was interesting for white. And yeah, I don't have a clue. My king side is slightly weakened. In return, I could say I have a bit more central control. Not quite sure where to place my pieces. I'll try to develop some of them and then have a look around. Could make a case for bishop f5 because I wasn't sure if queen h5 was a problem here. So some decisions to be taken. I guess I'll castle. I'm gonna survive this h7 weakness. Put the bishop on g6 in case it's needed there. Queen b1, very deep. Does stop bishop f5, but it's still a little too subtle to be good. Or at least I hope so. I'll fight for getting in my bishop f5 move, go queen d5. En passant, targeting this dude doesn't seem to bother. Boss to top. Interesting play. Still don't believe this can work, but it's certainly interesting. His point is if I go queen g2, he wants to go bishop h7, king h8, bishop e4. Which leads to a weird position. Let's go for it though. How bad can it be? Shouldn't pre-move king h8 in case he starts with bishop e4. But it makes more sense to start with this. Queen g4 is unfortunately forced only. Square with the queen doesn't get lost. Now I have a bit of a choice. I think I'll stick around on this side. Weird position, both king fortresses are severely weakened. But I don't mind my chances because it feels like I have a small lead in development and it's not going to be so easy to find a square for this guy. Boss to top extremely greedily takes the c7 pawn, which I should punish, but I don't know how. Guess I'll just develop some pieces. I'm not sure if rook ac8 can really be counted as a developing move, but I couldn't think of anything smarter. So I'll put my rooks on kind of central positions and hope for the best. Knight e2, yeah, knight f3, f5 was awkward to use the word of the day. While now I still have to think about what to do. I believe I should start threatening mate in 1 because you never know. They could miss it and then the game would end, which would of course be fantastic news for everybody involved. Nah, really just for me. Queen c2, do I have tactics? Like knight b4 or some nonsense? cb, don't really see a follow-up. So I guess no tactics. And I'm gonna have to try to grab some space instead. Ooh, I missed something. I was intending f5 here, bishop f5, bishop e2. But I did miss that after f5, knight g3 is a problem, which makes e5 a pretty horrible move. And leaves me questioning everything I thought I knew about the way of the world. Don't like my position anymore, so I'll go into desperation mode and try to sacrifice a piece and hope for the best, you know. d3 could be there. I'm trying to open the position before the king goes away, but I don't really believe my own hype here. Boss top, pushing me to the very edge here. Unexpectedly, I have to admit, because I thought I'd crush him. Might still crush him, but so far things have not exactly gone according to plan. Good news is I'm only 1 minute behind on the clock. And I have some active moves to make. I believe the position might actually be unclear now, because I can win this piece back by either f5 or bishop d5. Which one do I like? I kind of like this one. Let's see how it goes. Hang on, I shouldn't pre-move this, but maybe think for a second. Castles! Very creative. I did not see that that move was legal, to be perfectly frank. have to be repercussions. Maybe I should have started with d2. I was hoping that this would somehow be checkmate, but can't really say that I've calculated it. Till the very end, after f5, I do have a nasty intermediate check that should settle things. What's the fastest mate? I don't know, but this looks like mate. And if you see one mate, no need to look for another one, because mate is mate. Exciting game versus Top. He does not have a lot of confidence in my ability to convert even this position, but I am reasonably confident now. And this is checkmate. Yeah, I have no idea what happened there after. I thought I had good compensation for the pawn. Then I played this probably very weak move, e5, where I should have done anything else. I don't know, knight e5 maybe. Yeah, knight e5 looks like a decent move. And after bishop e3, since my plan of f5 didn't work at all, I decided to go for a bit of madness, which I'm not sure might have been at least a good practical decision. The position got messy, but here I had the feeling I was back in charge. Wouldn't be surprised if he had a win somewhere in all this mess. Let's play somebody else. This is a tough name to pronounce. Popo out. Is that how you say it? From the Netherlands. I haven't watched much of the Euro 2016, so for some reason I've missed all the Holland games. I'm assuming they're doing fine, but I really haven't seen any match, so not sure about that one. I should make some time to watch Germany-Italy on, when is it, Saturday? Germany normally loses to Italy. I believe it's 9 consecutive losses in international events. So that's going to be a tough one, as is this game going to be for Popo out, hopefully, because he plays the good old Dutch defense. And I've gone for this fashionable line with, whatever we call it, knight c3, which induces, no, I'm just making up random words, provokes black to go d5, and in this structure, white's plan is quite simple. You want to go knight e2, followed by c4. There's a lot of theory, or at least recent games, connected to stuff like knight e4 in this position. He plays b6, which is also interesting, but I'll stick to my plan, knight e2. After bishop b7, e6 could become a little weak. Some knight f4s in the air. Well, bishop a6 is possible, but first of all, e6 could still become a little weak. And secondly, I thought that this could be effective takes on c4. When after dc, I'm going to win my pawn back with queen a4. c6 is also asking me to put some pressure on this formation by going queen a4, I guess queen c8, and then either rook c1 or knight e5. Both look tempting. Gonna have to make up my mind, should we get there. So yeah, I don't like the Dutch. It weakens your structure. He goes knight b8, which might be a better move, but it still feels very passive. Therefore, yeah. I have a nice position. Let's see if I can make anything out of it. Queen d7. I'll take all these tempi and then think. Or I'll try to avoid thinking altogether, but that might not be possible. Queen d6, I guess. I'll just keep making useful moves. This rook or this rook? Let's take this rook just because I'm chicken and I don't want f2 to be weakened in any of the lines, in any of the wars to come. Don't really see a good plan for black. Knight e4 loses a pawn. h6 is possible, but it does weaken the g6 square. And it's very hard to get the queenside moving. Maybe he's going to consider something like a6 followed by b5, but all looks very slow and I'm ready to go c takes d5, open the position further. So yeah, Dutch is a risky opening. That's the lesson I'm trying to teach you guys. He goes a6, understandably, but probably not very happily. And I'll go CD, try to open things up. Many possibilities. Knight C6 could even be a good move. But it feels like it's letting him off the hook a little too easily. Rook C2 is also very, very possible. Yeah, I guess I'll just go with quietly improving my position or trying to by doubling rooks along the c-file. I'm expecting b5 when I wasn't sure if this queen had a perfect square, but I thought queen a5 could be an interesting move. Now I'm starting to get slightly bothered by b5, queen a5, bishop d8. Not the most harmonious of setups, but my queen doesn't have a good square. I don't want to return all the way to e1. So I might have to change plans and meet b5 with queen b3, when I'm still very comfortable, but it does feel like I have not gotten the max. 94, all right. He does exchange bishops, but it does not help with my control over the c-file and the rest of the position. Or at least I hope it doesn't. Rook a7, hanging in there. Is it time to cash in now? Knight c6 takes, and then either queen takes or... why did I blitz that out? That was stupid. I missed queen d7 or queen e8. That was dumb. Yeah, well played, sir. Good thing is my position is so good, it's very hard to spoil it all in one move, but I will freely admit that I completely missed that. But as mentioned, his situation is still not very pretty. This is just a long-term weakness. Rook b7, trying not to give me any of my beloved material. I want some material. I don't like it that you're not willing to share any of your material with me. It's not really in the friendly team spirit that I was hoping this game would go. Then again, I can't blame him for his materialism, because I'm wired very, very similarly. Do I have a win? What's the time control? Is it 3+1 or something weird? He's defended very well, or I haven't punished very well. One of the two, probably both. And yeah, I can't see a win. Rook c8, king g7, knight h5, king h6. There's no breakthrough that I can spot. Can't see anything better either, and before I lose on time, I better do something. But yeah, clearly this has not gone according to plan. I'm still much better because of all his previous sins. But now, stressing out here. So does he. He gives me a piece, which is of course friendly. Yeah, now the game should be over if I don't blunder anything too badly. Time was low there. I believe my position was still good, but I lost a bit of control, both on the clock and on the board here. After f3, I don't know. Yeah, it's still unpleasant, but of course, he shouldn't give me a piece. Go knight ef6. Very nice position out of the opening, not very nice execution. Such is life. Let's play Nico Wild. Oh, looks like I missed something obvious. Some knight g6 somewhere. Very, very possible. Good old Sicilian. So yeah, let's talk TV. I've watched season 4 of Orange is the New Black. I quite like Orange is the New Black in general. It's nothing I'm addicted to and I don't have to binge watch it, but it's normally a decent entertainment without, having to be super focused. They changed the tone a little bit this season. I always thought it was more of a comedy than a drama, really. And it got a lot more serious in the season 4. Looks like the writers decided to tackle some serious issues. Like, what do you call this? The Stanford prison experiment? Is that what it's called? Anyway, the abuse of power and, yeah, donkey. How easy it is to get high on it, and also, yeah, a lot of current race topics and so on. So it was interesting, but I felt it lost a little of its lightheartedness. And yeah, without spoiling too much, the last 2 episodes are very good and dramatic, but it felt a bit like, yeah, let's provide a cliffhanger at all costs to keep people watching, and not so much that there was a natural story arc through the season. This line, knight g4, is a bit risky, I believe, after bishop b5, but after queen d2, I just get the 2 bishops for free, which you normally shouldn't do, Nico Wild, because bishops are stronger than knights. No matter what all these knight apologists tell you, bishops are good pieces. They are long range. They can like move from one side of the board to the other in one single move. Try getting a knight from a1 to h8 in one move. You're not going to be able to do it. I have my own calculating system, which is of course worth very little. I believe a pawn is 1 unit, a bishop is 3.5, and a knight is 325. I'm sure I didn't invent that, I'm sure others have mentioned it, but I think this old pawn is 1, knight is 3, bishop is 3 is a little too simplistic. Because bishops are better than knights, other things being equal, blah, blah, blah. Now I have a nice position. Bishop b3 is very sensible, trying to safeguard the queen side against all my vicious attacks for now. But it's still a nice position. I don't know, rook b8, c5, c4. Something's gonna give. Mr. Gustafsson, what about Warcraft? I don't understand the question. If I've seen the Warcraft movie, no, I have not, and I don't think I will. Like, didn't look all that good. I played a bit of, what's this called, Warcraft 3, showing my age again. A while back, and I enjoyed it, but I was never particularly good. I was a big strategist, but I lacked mouse speed. It's a bit like in Blitz. So I could never get any serious, whatever they call this, clicks per minute to be any good at this stuff. And yeah, I'm not really a big computer game guy, apart from the crap I play on my phone, like Plants vs. Zombies or 2048. So much TV to watch, so much Blitz to play, so many queens to grab that I really don't find time for computer games. I guess, yeah, that's no hobby I should pick up on. And yeah, of course, Nico Wild just blundered his queen in one move here. Sorry for that, the position was unpleasant, but of course the game should have continued much longer. Let's play Marco Antonio, 1999. Another strong player from Peru. Is that Peru? Yeah, from Peru. 2563, 1999, probably his year of birth. So my first instinct would be to think he's like 12 years old, but that's not the case. We're in the year 2016, so he's already 17. Still young, high-rated, plays 3 minutes. I'm very scared. I will play my normal stuff. Recently in Blitz, I shouldn't pre-move this because people can go bishop takes c6. Not a bad move. Recently in Blitz I've been playing a lot of this. My main line is still the Marshall after all these years. Nothing wrong with it. But can't hurt to change once in a while. And this is a line I've also employed in tournament games, so it's not unfamiliar at all. We are making all these useful waiting moves. h6 against bishop g5. Very much a stylistic decision. Bishop g5 is not always a threat, but I, in a vacuum, prefer to avoid it if I'm given the choice. Rook b8, there's also alternatives like bishop e6 or bishop b7, but in general I do like this setup I'm playing. Now it's time to do something. Bishop b6 would be another prophylactic move, but it doesn't seem appropriate here somehow. So I'm gonna need some kind of plan. Not sure this is much of a plan, might be premature giving him the c4 square, but it's kind of typical for these structures before I get hit with d4 to try to stake my own claim. on the queen side. Having said all that, what to do next? Am I in time to go d5 or is this excessive? We'll find out. Slightly scared. Then again, I always am. Appropriate fear, they call it in basketball. Trying to put on my calculating face, but I really have not calculated a single thing over the last couple seconds. From my position as with the rook on e8 is that bishop a4 is a bit annoying in many a position, including this one, probably forcing me to retreat, go bishop d7. So you could argue that maybe, just maybe, bishop e6 was not the most precise. This well, I'm never happy, but I thought, how bad can it be if I get gifted all the space in the center? And I still think so. Bishop e3. Do I want to trade those bishops or keep them on the board? Could make a case for both, but it feels like I'm gonna keep more momentum by exchanging. Let's now play a fake active move like rook b2. See where that takes us. I keep missing bishop a4. I gotta stop missing that move at some point, but not yet. No breakthroughs. Bishop f3, rook f3. Doesn't seem to yield anything much. Can't think of anything better though. I know I just gave this speech about bishops better than knights, and I'm not quite sure why I didn't listen to my own speech. Drifting a little bit here. Time is running a bit low, so I felt like initiating some concrete operations, but if those were any clever, I am not so sure about. Still, gotta make moves, same old story. d4, can you do that? Maybe you can do that. Yep, missed that one. Still drifting. Now he goes bishop a4. After all these years of me being scared about it, he finally does it. Yeah, I haven't handled this very well. I still think I'm okay, but I'm probably not better, which I believe there was a fair chance to be better at some point. Well, what to do? Game continues. Not a lot of time left. I keep missing things. I missed c4 as well, which is not ideal. Rook b2 looks nice, but then rook a3. Can't think of anything better, but yeah. Drifting. So I should at least drift fast. This bishop is still hanging, so I hope I'm gonna have time to include my king in the proceedings. Now knight b4 might be a threat. It might not be a threat actually because of rook b7, which is a pity. So I'll play random moves. Not that random. I'm trying to build a bit of a mating net with h4, and also it could be unpleasant to be past the move in such a position. But mainly I'm gonna have to speed up now. Ugh, and I shouldn't self-pin. That was very dumb. And once again, good old friend Clock got the job done, even though I believe I'm in good shape because, yeah, I have some checks, some counterplay. So I'm probably better, but clearly last couple moves were, once again, the quality slightly suffered because of our time trouble. Let's keep this going. FTM? What does FTM stand for? Financial Times Madrid? FTM from Spain. d4, d6. That's possible. Probably e4 is the best move, but most d4 players, me included, do prefer the move knight f3. What's happening? Nico Wild is giving me lots of thumbs downs. Not sure why. But it does hurt my feelings. FTM is playing, yeah, could become any opening, still could become the old Indian, I believe they call this stuff with bishop e7, could become sideline of the king's Indian, where the knight is already committed to d7, could become something else entirely if he goes for whatever, queen c7, h6, g5, or one of these crazy plans. But it does look like we're playing the good old Indian. Not a line I've ever studied on a theoretical basis, really. And yeah, I believe bishop e3 probably shows that. Because, yeah, I always thought it was an inferior cousin to the king's Indian. But it's playable. Anything's playable. After b6, d5 looks more justified. After cd, yeah, it's a position. Structure I slightly prefer to the one after c5. I believe both should be better for white. But after c5, it tends to be a little harder to break it down. Black could go knight g4, let's say bishop d2, and f5 now, which also weakens his position, while knight c5 invites me to play knight d2, which is a very harmonious setup in these structures. I'm defending e4, stopping a piece from jumping to g4, and I'm preparing to put my knight on the c4 square in the future. FTM means follow the master, apparently. Who knew? Knight h5 is a good move, and f3 was a bad move, actually. Should have thought a bit more about that, because now bishop g5 is coming, which I don't really want to happen. So yeah, I've misplayed this a little. And I went knight c4 to stop him from going bishop g5, but it does allow other things, like knight to f4, like other things. Yeah, this hasn't gone particularly well, and I better start focusing to stop my position from decreasing further. a4, my thought process was that I might have to plug in some piece to b5, but that thought process is actually kind of flawed, because if he takes, let's say, followed by bishop a6 or bishop a6 immediately, I can't go knight b5 since there is knight takes a4. Goes f5, which is also legit. Yeah, this hasn't gone well. A very nice position out of the opening. Made a couple dumb moves, and now black is perfectly fine. What to do? Stop whining and make moves, I guess. But I have to part with one of my bishops, which does break my heart a little bit. Always feels like you're losing a little tiny piece of yourself with every bishop that disappears. Knight b5 just to keep him busy, not to allow bishop f6, but yeah, I don't like my position. I can't go bishop d3, which would be very desirable. Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah, I'll go with it. Would be very desirable positionally. No, I can't do it. I guess I will, because this bishop is really doing zilch on e2. So if I can either exchange it for this knight or transfer it to this diagonal, that's an achievement. Of course, he can take this guy, but I'm gonna look towards the future slightly more optimistically than a couple moves ago. Still don't really like my position, but at least my bishop has found a diagonal to do something on. Still gotta be careful though, because the black pieces are very, very well placed. I guess he wants to go queen f6. Maybe I should have taken directly. Who knows? I'll take now. If rook e5, then queen e5. At least I can go rook e1 and he can't take on b2. Even though I'm still left with sort of a good knight, bad bishop scenario, which once again goes against all these bold claims I made earlier about bishops being stronger than knights. You know, it's situational. Yeah, this is not a good position for me. Very hard to improve it too. So what can I do? H3 is a very ugly move. Yep, don't like it one bit. I'll go queen e2 just to tempt him to do something like queen d4, queen d5, which might be perfectly fine, but I really couldn't think of a smarter move. g6, dropping b2 is kind of ridiculous. Yeah, I'm playing terribly. And I am not forgiven for my sins. Sometimes people forgive you, but not in this case. There was a bit of a key pawn because now he has the a-pawn and my position just becomes lost. Yeah, terrible game by yours truly, and I have a feeling I'm going to lose to FTM, which is unfortunate. Yeah, this is a pretty hopeless position. I can't even think of a way to put up resistance, to put my queen on this ridiculous square and hope for the best, but it's just dead lost, really. No other way to describe it. Queen c3, he also keeps playing extremely well, so don't have a lot of hope here, apart from the clock situation, but I don't think that's gonna be enough either. Oh, I missed that too. Yeah, I guess it's time to say goodbye. Getting crushed here. Trying to figure out some miracle perpetual, but it's only 2 checks. No, I can resign with a clear conscience here. Congratulations, FTM. Embarrassing game by myself, but very strong game by him. Sad. Was that my lovely 3000 rating? Oh no, I might still have 3000. But still, wasn't the plan. But yeah, he played well, I played badly. What are you gonna do? Sastra from Switzerland. Goes d4. I'm steaming, as I normally am, after a loss. I haven't lost for a while though, and I do know that people enjoy watching me suffer and sweat, so probably it's good for the show. Well, I'll pretend that I'm very happy with that development for the show. And steaming as I am, I'm already playing the Benoni against Sastra, another opening I don't really like because it's just very dodgy positionally. d6 makes it a lot better positionally. After knight c3, yeah, I'm not a big Benoni guy because you're at a space disadvantage with some weaknesses in your structure. So it's an acquired taste. I'm not saying it's bad, I'm saying it's not for me because I like to have a sound structure. And here I do not have such worries anymore because I did get a pretty strong center already. Bishop f6. I guess just queen takes, knight d5. I can go back to d8 or to d6. Not sure what's better. Even f7. So many squares. Which one shall I go for? Goes knight e4. And I shall attack that knight. Problem with queen e5 is I might lose a tempo later if he goes, let's say, knight d2, followed by knight g f3. f3, however, does not keep that square free for a horsey. Therefore, now I should be in pretty good shape. Because it's going to be very hard for him to complete development without running into trouble along the way. Yeah, this looks very, very nice for black. Many plans. c4, bishop b4 check, bishop f5 just to take on e4. While white's development is extremely difficult to arrange. So yeah, now he goes knight d2, but it does come one move too late. And since I enjoy cheapos, I just can't help threatening bishop h4, followed by g3, queen g3 with checkmate. But of course any sensible move prevented that. So I'm not sure. That was best. I just couldn't help it. My position is still excellent though, so it was not like this was a big gamble, and this sort of simplifies things because a knight is a knight. was hoping that I will blunder my queen, but once again, most sensible moves avoid that blunder. Let's keep the queens on the board. Queen b4 is of course winning as well, but nothing wrong with keeping the queens around, trying to use my extra piece for a devastating attack on the white monarch. After I lost the last game, people have lost all respect. Extra piece is not gonna be even giving me consideration for the full point. But I never really complain about that, it's just tongue-in-cheek. I always thought everybody should be allowed to resign whenever they feel like, and not when people tell them to. It's a personal decision, resignation. But now could be a good moment. Rook is a rook. Do a rook count, Sastra. 1 versus 2. What else can I tell you? So the NBA season is over, therefore my attention has to switch somewhere else. Game of Thrones, this season is over as well. Exciting stuff. I probably won't spoil all that much in case there are still 1 or 2 people out there who have not seen the final episode. But yeah, I have the theory that Game of Thrones is basically a show about climate change. At its core, it's about climate change, like there is this big danger coming from the north, and humans are too obsessed with their petty politics and scheming to unite against the real danger. I believe that's the lesson we're being taught, but I don't really know. And I didn't really get the lesson. I did get the lesson that an extra rook is very useful. I didn't really pay a lot of attention in checkmating class. Someone who followed that class more closely might be able to end this kind of game a little faster than me, because I really need to do a lot of talking before I spot stuff like this. Mate in 2. Thanks for the game, Sastra. White wolf is back, indeed. And looks like, yeah. The R plus L equals J crowd also got a little candy. I'll play Nick number 4. This is not the first Nick he's tried to register. First he tried Nick 1, Nick 2, Nick 3. They were all taken. So had to go with a different nickname. Or maybe it is Niklas Huschenbeit and 4 is his age because his birthday... No, I think he's older now. His birthday is on February 29th, I've mentioned this on an earlier show. So he ages only every 4 years. We got... what do we have? This normally transposes to a King's Indian. This move order I'm using is directed against the Grunfeld. So we're getting a King's Indian. And I'm gonna be faced with the eternal question. What to do about it? My pet system is bishop e2, e5, bishop e3. As mentioned, I normally lose that stuff. So let's try something else. Let's play normal chess. Bishop e2, followed by castles. Knight c6 is a bit provocative. Castles e5, of course, transposes. He's provoking me to go d5. And you know what, Nick? Provoked I shall be. I guess the idea is knight e5. But I have a feeling that this structure after knight e5, de, whatever, bishop e3 or castles, should favor me a little bit, so I don't really mind. Well, knight b8. Some people do that just to get a fresh game, but it does not really look sound. Knight d7, I guess he's gonna try to go for some f5 style attack now. but it doesn't seem positionally justified here. No, it just seems bad. f5, f3, and black is not going to be in time to create any threats. Well, I'm reasonably quick trying to open the queen side whenever I so fancy with going d6 or c6 or just grabbing more space there. So yeah, this is a nice position for me. Not that I'm not capable of blowing it, but it is still nice. Cappy 2718 says that it's not that winter is here, but summer is here when we keep talking about climate change. Yeah, it's not an exact analogy, but I still like my theory. And I like my position, because now he's stuck with double e-pawns that don't look very pretty. Both queen takes and pawn takes look strong. But to avoid the chances of me blundering a queen, I shall go queen takes, because his endgame seems very, very good for white. And not unduly complicated. I'll just be annoying, go bishop g5, force him to go back to f8. And see what to do next. After rook f8, I'm not sure if I can play some forceful move. I have many good moves, but I can't say anything decisive. I don't really want to allow bishop to d7. But after bishop b5, a6, I can't see a win. Yeah, guess I'm gonna have to allow it with a heavy heart. Nah, can't see a win. Very sad. Still in good shape, of course, but I would like to win directly. It looks like I won't be able to do it. I'll still go for this, just to provoke a6, b5, which maybe gives me some targets on the queen side then. I thought a6 was pretty much forced. There might be alternatives to consider, like bishop d7, which looks dodgy. Cappy says an Ice Age would be a refreshing change, which is either a clever play on words or he is really looking forward to the new Ice Age movie that just hit the cinemas. I like the original Ice Age, like the movie. I wasn't around for the actual Ice Age, but it's up there on my list of favorite cartoon movies. I don't really have a list. I like most cartoon movies. I haven't watched this new movie about the dumb fish. What's it called? Finding Dory? Is that her name? My position, no advantage, has increased further. But I'm still not sure I have a forced win. I'll keep building the pressure. Knight a4 now after a6 I can take, followed by knight b6, which looks pretty good. Yeah, hard to give good advice to Nick number 4 here. Too many problems. Still gotta find a way to wrap it up, which I haven't been very efficient at. But if in doubt, exchange stuff and win with the extra exchange. He doesn't have time for rook d6 because of rook c8. And bishop f8, rook c8 also did look fairly unpleasant. So yeah, this game is over, and therefore Nick 4 resigns. Good game, Nick 4. Let's play My Sick Duck. A lot of strong players in the mix today. German dude. I have no idea what that username could mean, and I don't want to start like trying to exchange first letters of the words to see if I can come up with something. I'm gonna assume he's a proud pet owner that is trying to cure his duck, but he's not able to do it. It's permanent status, and that's why he chose that username. This line, what are you supposed to do here again? I believe the best move objectively is to go e4 here And after queen c7, a3. That's the reason this move order went out of fashion a little bit. And it gives me another chance to try my hand at hedgehog. Not to be confused with a headshot, which you need if you're applying for a job. This is a different thingy. It's a slightly better setup than the one I had earlier, because I don't have to do any clumsy maneuvering to bring my a3 knight back into the game, in case you've seen that earlier game. So I'll do all the boring standard moves, which is pretty much the ones I'm playing right here. My Sig Duck is also blitzing out random moves. And as usual, my main question is d5 a threat or not yet? And I believe the answer is not yet, so I'll continue making random prophylactic moves. Knight e5 is normally well met by knight a4, defending c4 and targeting Mr. b6. Yeah, all pretty much standard stuff, and I have a feeling it might be time to keep asking questions about Mr. b6. Because all of a sudden it's not so easy for black to defend everything. Bishop d8, I can probably take on d6. Well, else, yeah, not sure how you want to keep that dude. I guess d5 is a critical move. When I have to make up my mind how I want to mate it. Positionally would be ed, ed, c5, while greedy would be ed, ed, knight b6. Both seem possible. I have to calculate a little bit if there's any problems with some bishop f3 tricks, but I can't see them, and if I can't see them, I tend to grab stuff. Line I was thinking about was rook c4, bishop f3, but then I'm not forced to recapture on f3. But I'm an idiot, because he can start with bishop f3 and after gf go rook c4. And he does. Nicely done. Why do I miss so many things? My position is still fine, but I should have seen that. Okay, so I have a choice. gf, rook c4, queen f3, queen g2, queen b3. My king is a little shaky. I'll still do it. So greedy. Rook c1 might also have been bad. I started out greedy, but now I'm giving him the a3 pawn, which was a crucial part of the crew. Yeah, I'm just steaming. Time to get my act together. I've badly mishandled this. And I've been slow. Many reasons to panic about. I was thinking bishop c5, rook e8, queen d3. Can he do that? I guess he can do that. Really too slow. Time to activate focus mode. Stop whining mode for a second at least. And focus a little bit on the challenges at hand. Doesn't lead to any good moves though. g5, whoa. King g7 was probably a mistake. Now the odds are in my favor. And my Sig Duck resigns. Tough fight, yeah, well, I was very fine out of the opening. And here, I believe c5 just gives white a very sound positional advantage. But even though I did see this idea, I mixed up the move order. For some reason I only thought about rook c4 followed by bishop f3. Well, after bishop f3 immediately, here I'm up in exchange, but my king is so weak that this position already feels unclear. And I probably made some more bad moves like rook c1, making things very, very messy. So interesting game against his sick duck. But happy end for me. And who could resist following my sick duck with Hans Gans? Continuing our duck theme, because Hans Gans does mean, Gans means not quite duck, but goose in German. So I hope I ducked a bullet there. What time is it? Is this the last game? No, probably we can play one more after this one. I believe there's a lot more shows today. Check out the schedule. Anna Rudolph's middle game show is probably on. I think there was something else. I'm sure you guys can find out. I played the Pelikan here and Hans Gans. Is Hans Gans a character from Lustige Taschenbücher? I guess he is, right? He's the butler of Oma Duck. This question is mainly directed to German viewers, because I did grow up reading Donald Duck comics. I quit like 2-3 years ago, but I'm still a fan of the universe. Entenhausen. Never read any of these things in English, so none of my analogies will make any sense to non-Germans. I don't even know. In English it's Donald Duck, right? And Dagobert you guys call Uncle Scrooge? I think it's Uncle Scrooge. But that's pretty much all I know about it. It's a weird thing. While we all grow up reading the same stuff, if it's in a different language, you don't have the same references. Like for me, it would be very weird if the place wasn't called Entenhausen, but I guess it's not. I went queen a5 to put some pressure on bishop d2 is the correct reply. With hindsight, once again, bishop takes c3 followed by queen a5 was probably a better choice. But what you gonna do? People keep being fascinated by the username MySigDuck. I don't have the slightest idea why. I'm playing terribly. I should start paying some attention against Hans Gans. Once again, I'm guilty of arrogance, underestimating my opponent because of his 1500 rating. I want to go queen c7, but then ed knight d5, bishop h7 seems to pick up a pawn. Therefore, I have to improvise, go queen c5. And here, this does not seem to blunder the queen. Because now bishop h7, king h7, my queen is still covered on d5. But yeah, not my proudest banter day. Can I win a piece? I really like winning pieces. I have to try. Who said there is no try? Just do? Yoda? I'm sure I've asked this in previous shows, but I don't even know my own references. I could not see anything for him here to avoid the very costly loss of a piece. Bishop e2. I can just exchange queens and then take on f3. Well, knight h4 does look a little scary, but there's not really enough pieces to exploit the small holes around my king. It's kind of big holes, but not enough resources to do anything about it. So this is just winning for me. And Hans Gans can go back to taking his nap. That's the dude, right? He was napping a lot, Hans Gans. Have to go quiet and like half focus. No, I'm trying to be fully focused, just not able to do it. Knight f3 was a good move. I might have to give up this pawn to get my pieces out. Shouldn't really matter, it's still quite winning. But I don't really like parting ways with pawns. So, I thought I could lure him into queen b7, bishop d5, threatening queen g2 and bishop takes b7. Not able to do it, but now I'll keep my pawn Do I have to? B6 feels like a small-time move. Like a short-sighted move. Feels like what Cersei is doing. Doesn't see the big picture. Gotta go bishop d5. Keep the opposing queen busy as well. Yeah, this analogy makes absolutely no sense. Alright. Piece up, so I might as well exchange queens. Not really textbook conversion, but a piece is a piece, so you really have to mess up very, very badly not to convert something like that. And I'm not at that point yet. Hanskans has put up very good resistance ever since that piece went away. But the problem is with this extra bishop, it's gonna be very hard to stop me from improving my position. There's already some Zugzwangs all over the place. The king had to retreat. And sooner or later, it's gonna have to retreat even further, making my task easier. Here we go. And after king g1, f5, we're approaching a new Zugzwang, which might be quite painful. I'm not sure if I could win. Actually, probably I could, if white was allowed to pass whenever he wants. But since that is not allowed, the pawns will stop dropping like flies. Do flies drop? Yeah, that's an expression, right? All right, one last game of the day. Whom do we play? I don't know. You know what? Let's play Chen Yuan from China. Not sure I've ever played anybody from China on this show. We've had Myanmar, Japan, and now China today. That is very exciting. I hope I'll crush him anyway. My perception in the earlier days when I played more on the internet was normally that Chinese guys were very good tactical players and not so much all-rounders, but of course that no longer holds any truth because of the tremendous growth of chess in China, and there's all kinds of guys with different styles, from Wang Yue, who's a great endgame player, to great tacticians like Wei Yi, and of course just universal dudes like Ding Liren, for example. Just a lot of very, very strong players from China. And normally when I play my only tournament of the year, the Thailand Open, I'm always very, very scared of meeting a young Chinese player rated around 21, 2200 in the first rounds, because sometimes they haven't played so much in tournaments out of China and they're just incredibly strong because they're so well educated on chess, even though their rating does not indicate that yet. As for the game, kind of boring-ish line, the 4 knights with h3, this was trendy. After Kramnik, I believe, gave it an outing once. Should not pose black all that many troubles. And after a5, after he's had to take, I now have the superior pawn structure. So reasonably happy with that. Still have to figure out what I want to do after bishop d2. But something is gonna come up. Bishop e5 doesn't even threaten anything really, so I should probably not do that. I guess I'll eat my humble pie and go back to c7. Well, yeah, my structure is good. My pieces are good. Gotta keep an eye on the passed a pawn, but in a middle game it's very unlikely the guy can queen. Bishop g5 looks like a natural move, but then whatever, knight d7 for example. Can't stop him from trying to queen that pawn though. Yeah, just after I said, very unlikely the guy will queen. Here I am panicking about the guy queening. Rook a8 is an ugly move, I don't think. Rook a8 was the best move in the position. But might as well keep an eye on this guy early. Feels like I'm drifting in every game, really. Why? What happened? I still do have my 3000 rating, so I guess I should not enter full whiny mode just yet. But might be too late. 92 Chen Yuan is playing well, and I've also been very self-obsessed as usual and didn't pay a lot of attention to the clock. So I'm down to 1 minute and I have to press the speed button. F5, surprising move. Still slightly worried about this a-pawn dude. However, as I said earlier, in the middle game, in theory, my superior structure in the center should outweigh the a-pawn. I should just avoid blundering too many of my hard-earned pieces, which has been a challenge today. Now I can try to pin him. Winning by pinning, one of my favorite devices. But it's not winning yet. Maybe soon though. I am asking some fairly unpleasant questions at least. Like, how do you want to parry? Oh, he's sneaky. Oh boy. Very resourceful queen d4, I missed that. But I have a win. Just took me way longer than I should have to spot it. But I am winning a rook. And Chen Yuan resigns. Very tough battle, and yeah, the reason I slightly panicked here after queen d4 was because my intention was to go rook e2. Then I saw that rook e2, queen d4, rook takes e8, checkmate would be a bit unfortunate. And I had to reshuffle my mind until I saw, well, many moves win actually, 93, knight c2 also wins. But that's what happens when things don't go well, and I lost the game, which of course puts me on great tilt. You start seeing ghosts. That's it for today. I would like to thank everybody for participating, and we come to our last segment of the show, which I like to call I'm Sorry. I'm sorry for not really having any Brexit material. I'm sorry for the mild spoilers. However, I announced them in advance, so I'm not that sorry. I'm always sorry about the bad hair day. I'm sorry for, my own self-jinxing that I did all this bishop praising and then I lost the game with a horrible bishop against a good knight. I am also sorry that part 3 of my video series is still not out because I still don't know what to recommend. What else am I sorry about? I'm sorry about the outfit, like that I didn't iron the shirt. Could have sent it to the Iron Island at least. I'm sorry for my pronunciation of iron. I'm sorry that in the last show I said long-winded when the correct pronunciation is long-winded. I am very sorry. Nah, that's all I'm sorry about, really. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time, I guess. Yeah, there's Anna Rule show in half an hour. Tomorrow I'll do probably a show in German with our boy Niklas Huschenbeit, who's with us in the Chess24 offices for a while. I don't know, couple months I believe, maybe longer, who knows. It's good to have him around. Very funny dude, very strong grandmaster. So if you're capable of speaking the German language, check it out tomorrow. We'll do, I don't know what we're gonna do. Probably some silly Banter Blitz show at roughly the same time as today. Go premium on chess24.com if you haven't already, if you want to participate in all these shows, if you want to learn from all the great video series. As I already recommended, I believe the video series by Artur Yusupov, featuring yours truly, but just as the narrator, on prophylactic thinking is very good for all you premium guys out there who are looking for something to watch. I have an exciting new video series which we're going to record next week with a superstar guest, but I can't really reveal that yet. That's all I got. See you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Later.